Okay, now the term classical is often, misunderstood or used to describe something or music that is written on score. All right, music that is scripted that has a score, and to the every common musicians, when they see music written on score, they assume that it is classical music, but that's not true. All right, it's a common lie. Like I said, it's a common lie. And everybody assumes that once you have a score sheet in your hand, you are carrying classical music. That's not true. But I can understand why that is so, because classical music is such music that is very objective, is very um, intentional. It's not music for improvisation. What makes it classical is the organization and the fact that you have to keep to the rules. You don't change a composer's tune. You don't play just one semitone, added to what the composer have written. And so usually to enable that communication is usually best to write it down. Okay, that was has been the common practice, to write music down so that when anybody plays it, they if you have one, two, three, four, five players, they end up playing the same thing without changing, because the what is being read is very clear, and it's not something you change. However, uh, scoring music, of course, with devices and of course technologies, science, and innovations, it has become possible to actually score music, or it became possible because it's not just a matter of something that started now. It became possible to be able to uh, put music down on score. Any music, in fact, any music, especially any music that is the intention is clear. It's not music that is open for anybody to improvise or play the way you want to play it. So even jazz music can be scored. Sure, there are so many jazz scores out there. If you just go online, you ask for the jazz score, for any score, you find it. Contemporary gospel music, blues, name them. All genres can actually be scored in on music score. So the term classical, actually, by history or by definition, refers to music of the Western, culture, and you know that music of the when we talk about music of the Western culture, it's gone through several, improvements or innovations from history, from the fifth, as back as in the Dark Age, the 13th century, the uh, uh, what they call it, 14th century, the 15th centuries, those what they call art novels, antiquity period, the period of Dark Age, and all this time, from the Gregorian chants, the Catholic Church music, how music evolved. There are so many things about that, up to the Renaissance period, the Renaissance, when music started having some clarity in form and all that, going towards the Baroque, it's much more clear in the Baroque and like that. So the music of the Western culture, is what is referred to as classical music. And like I explained before, it's about mostly about the organization, the fact that it's not music for improvisation. Also, what makes something classical also is not is also because of the kind of or the way the harmonies are used. And these harmonies are traditional harmonies that are used by anybody out there. Even a gospel player uses those harmonies, but just the manner, the chord voicing, the way the chords are voiced, and the way the parts are separated, the instrument also used, the texture of the music, the form, so several factors accounts to um, why it is called classical music. But in nature, the term classical actually refers to, it covers a lot. It covers a lot. It's not only music of the Western culture. What makes music of the Western culture, to simply put, so that you don't get it confused, it's just about the fact that they keep to, most of the music of the Western culture keep to, consonants, right? The intervals or the chords are always voiced in consonants. Yeah, some dissonances occur, but they tend to resolve those dissonances. And that is why in history also, when you have music that has moved away, from that, rules of keeping consonants, it becomes, the Westerners no longer lay claim to those music, because uh, in history those music started moving, getting modifications, the dissonances that we avoided, at certain stage or certain century, we are brought in, and we are incorporated into the music as to be part of the music. Compare with when you have those dissonances. If you talk about from the 17th century, the Baroque, the 18th century, the classical period, that's what they call the classical period, and the 19th century, the romantic periods, and so, but by the late 19th century, in the middle of 19th century, music started having, changes, more dissonance started coming. By 20th century, dissonance were already, incorporated into music and all that. So what is called classical, yeah, in context, is it covers a lot. It covers a lot. So even music that are dissonant are also classical, like music of Debussy and some, French composers of those time, the Impressionists and the rest of them. By the time you move to the, middle of the 20th century, you have more clash tones, more dissonant intervals, and all that. But all these are still within classical music, and that is still because all those, troubled notes and dissonances here and there are still structured. All right. So the classical, if you want to simply put it, is just structured music. Structured music, in which the voicings of the chords are actually clearly defined. They are not dependent on the player. It's not the player that decides how you voice the chord, or how you would, do the embellishment and all that. So I made this video just to let you know that when you say classical, it does not refer to just what is written. Anything can be written. So if you see somebody carry a piece of music, it does not suggest that the person is a classical player. It may not also suggest that that music is classical music. It could be anything. It could be jazz. It could be Broadway. It could be soul music. It could be anything. Yeah. If you learn how to score music down, also, if you learn how to score music, you would be able to communicate your thoughts down and put them in scores. The advantage is that it reduces the time to explain a lot. You just put them down and people are able to play. I'm very particular about my friends, the gospel music players. Proudly, I play classical music, all right? I'm still able to, do some contemporary voicings here and there. And of course, what is common with this contemporary playing or something is because is the way the chords are voiced, right? The voicings of the chord, the way the chords are voiced, not anything too big about that. Also, in contemporary playing, you don't talk about parts playing, all right? So there's nothing like parts playing. All you deal with embellishments and chords and all that. So it poses a lot of challenge for someone who started piano playing like that. You started piano by playing chords and harmonizations. So you are not able to fit in when you have to do parts, all right? So a common hymn tune may be very difficult for a gospel player or a contemporary player to play because of the voicings which are strict, and also the parts, Okay, the separations. It has to be clear what alto is saying and what the tenor is saying and what the bass is saying and what the soprano is saying. There are no, you don't just fuse them together. But I'm really um, concerned because I think that you should be able to, you know, play. Yeah, you should be able to play a common hymn tune as a gospel player or contemporary gospel player, because you, in terms of oral, that's ear, you have a lot of advantage. I mean, you do everything by ear. By the way, ear is not bad. I mean, everybody should be able to learn. I don't support any musician, whether you're classical or gospel player, without proper oral. You should be able to hear what you play, and it's also part of music too, that you're able to perceive music by ear. So you have a lot of advantage. You know, you have you know how to play so many chords, different harmonies, dominant chords, subdominant, the rest of them, diminished. And I find out, or it's not just I find out, that it's common, it's out there, that these chords usually are the same chords you find in a common hymn tune, just that they are a bit, they are used in a simple manner, and they don't end with clash tones. When the clashes are made, they are immediately resolved, and that's what really makes classical music, or music of the common practice. When I say the common practice, music that are based on major and minor. Yeah, those music are based on major and minor. Uh, uh, what they call also tonal music. Tonal music, music based on major and minor, is that there has to be a clarity of key. This is this key and this is that key, and there's always dominance leading to those keys, and they are very clear. So you should not shy away from, you know, playing choral music, right? So you're going to begin with a hymn tune, right? If you are on this part of, oh, I'm a contemporary gospel player, I want to be able to play hymn tunes, I want to let you know that you're not far away from what it is. What I just need to show you is voicing and part separation, parts playing. But you can, before you go into part playing and separation, you can still be able, you still be able to do a lot and fill in the gap, all right, in your church, in your, wherever you find yourself, with the chords, you know, because those chords are what they are on those, you know, hymn tunes. So the simplest way to start would be with a hymn, and then we use those chord patterns to explain to you what it is. It's not different. So I'm just concerned that with what you do, you should be able to, you know, flow into choral playing. They're not something difficult. Just parts separated. Okay, so let's dive deep, right? Deep and light.